ShadowMan will be a third-person, real-time 3D action-adventure with the player's point of view being predominantly from above and behind his/her polygonal, realistically texture-mapped on-screen character, utilizing a dynamic camera, a la Mario 64, to track the character throughout. Our proprietary 3D engine pushes back the envelope of technology into a brave new 3D world. The ubiquitous fogging of depth queue, so prevalent in other games of this ilk and used to cover up the inadequacies of other 3D engines, forcing the games generated by them into dingy tunnel-based interiors, will be used solely for atmospheric effect and not to obscure the fact that the engine cannot encompass a complete external landscape. In this way, our state-of-the-art 3D technology will, quite literally, allow us out into the fresh air to see as far as the horizon. In order to achieve the above, our 3D engine uses binary space partition, or BSP trees, and potential visible sets. The BSP trees allow us to discard large chunks of the in-game 3D environment very quickly. This means that for every large polygon model, the time spent actually drawing and displaying that model within the player's camera view is considerably reduced. For example, if our model is the entire city of New York, we can very quickly discard all the parts of the city that the player can't see. Coupled with the BSP trees, we have potential visible sets. These further enable us to quickly discard anything in the player's camera view cone that is hidden by a closer model part or part of the environment. Basically, what all this means is that the player will be able to see a long way into the distance without the need for an obscuring depth queuing fog, and the player will also be able to explore a larger and more detailed 3D world than anything out there in the current and hopefully future marketplace. But a great game isn't just about new technology. A great game marries technological advancement with fulfilling gameplay. With ShadowMan, we intend to develop a unique, three-dimensional interactive experience with enough high-adventure gameplay to satisfy both the Twitch player and the less twitchy, more cerebral gamer. This will be achieved by implementing multiple routes to a variety of fulfilling goals, not punishing the player, but assisting him or her while still keeping the game a challenging experience. ShadowMan's structure will be split into two distinct gaming environments, each of which will have a differing style of play. This split has been designed to remain faithful to the original ShadowMan comic book license, in that ShadowMan is a walker between the worlds, with the aforementioned worlds being our plane of existence, live side, and the limbo-like place known as dead side. To this end, rather than forcing our hero down a series of predetermined branching routes governed by a series of item-driven puzzles, we have decided to structure ShadowMan by using elements such as those employed within the highly playable and perennially successful Nintendo classics Mario and Legend of Zelda. In this way, the player may freely guide the game character between the two worlds as they explore a gradually expanding game universe. This, we also believe, is the best way to take advantage of the sense of freedom that an unrestricted 3D engine will allow, and provide a far more interesting and challenging experience for the player, ensuring considerably more replay value than the straightforward linear or branching adventure. Gameplay will, like Tomb Raider, be fundamentally exploratory across 20+ levels. But unlike the latter game, we will also involve the player in seeking out a wide variety of quest objects that are of integral use in the game. Objects that will imbue the player character with extra in-game abilities and therefore allow a high degree of interaction with the environment. Most of the levels in the game will involve a spectacular set piece, with gameplay in those levels largely based around that set piece. Imagine fully explorable buildings clinging to the walls of a sheer-sided canyon, or finding and entering a ship of the dead the size of a house, and the ship taking off while the player is still inside. With the technology at our disposal, these are both now possible. We want to inspire in the player the same degree of awe that the vast overhead Star Destroyer in Star Wars opening sequence and the mammoth alien ship above New York in Independence Day inspired in their audiences. We want to bring an epic sense of scale to the video game medium, to allow the seamless transition between the seemingly endless expanse of a dead-side desert and the gigantic interior of a mile-high citadel. Weapons, as is becoming standard fare in games of this type, will be both numerous and unique. They will range from a standard automatic pistol to a shadowgun that fires Raiders of the Lost Ark style shrieking raids. Weapons will be used to destroy at least 20 enemy types, from the gators infesting the Louisiana swamp through shambling corpulent zombies to the bestial victims of the loup-garou. All enemies will be polygonal and will have differing detail levels dependent on their distance from the player character, thereby allowing more of them on screen at any one time. In order to seek out these enemies wherever they may be in the game environment, the player character will be able to look both up and down. The player character will also be able to run, jump, swim, perform a variety of well-animated acrobatic moves, and at a certain point in the game, the player character will also be able to fly. Secret areas will be hidden in the game environment, thereby adding to the replay value. The game environment itself will be highly detailed, inasmuch as it will bear closer scrutiny than most games of this ilk, with background details such as birds, fish, snakes, etc., a variety of animated swamp-dwelling fauna to further enhance the realism of this true 3D world.
The engine uses binary space partition trees and potential visible sets so that we might push back the envelope as far as three-dimensional gaming is concerned. The binary space partition trees, or BSP trees, allow us to discard large chunks of the in-game 3D environment very quickly. This means that for every large polygon model, the time spent actually displaying that model within the player's camera view is considerably reduced. For example, if our model is the entire city of New York, we can very quickly discard all the parts of the city that the player can't see. Coupled with the BSP trees, we have potential visible sets. These further enable us to quickly discard anything in the player's camera view cone that is hidden by a closer model part or part of the environment. In addition to all the above, we will be adding varying levels of detail to distant parts of the 3D environment. This means that distant objects can be represented by a very low number of polygons and closer objects with more polygons. Basically, what this means is that the player will be able to see a long way into the distance without the need for an obscuring depth cueing fog, and the player will also be able to explore a larger and more detailed 3D world than anything out there in the current and hopefully future marketplace. With ShadowMan, we mean to create the definitive third-person action-adventure. While this is an ambitious undertaking, we do not believe that it is impossible. Certainly if we take inspiration from and implement the complexity and depth of 3D play established by Super Mario 64, combined with the action and sense of adventurous exploration seen in Tomb Raider, we have a good recipe for cooking up a truly enriching experience, with experience being the operative word. So a hugely ambitious product then, certainly as it is turning out too ambitious for the timeline originally allocated to it, largely because of its internal and overall structure and the fact that the engine is not yet written, is being developed alongside the game itself. An ambitious game engine is required for an ambitious game, the engine to compete not only with the likes of products coming out in '98 such as Gabriel Knight from Sierra and Daikatana etc., but able technologically to compete with products beyond that. We are therefore looking to the future and building firm, technologically adept foundation for all Iguana UK's products over the next 2 to 3 years. All but one of the 10 graphical templates have been created, these comprising texture sets and locational models. Coloured lighting has now been implemented, as well as some weapon effects, player character swimming mode, the on-screen shadow meter and secondary enemies such as gators and attack dogs. We also have one serial killer now fully operational in the Florida summer camp level, the gameplay for which I will describe later on, with other enemies modelled and textured, their AI currently being worked on. The game's storyline comprises 2 influences drawn from the current zeitgeist, the advent of the millennium and its correlative apocalyptic concerns, and the public fascination with, fear of, serial killers. Both these influences are incorporated via ShadowMan's unique multimedia aspect, as in-game documents which the player can access throughout the game and which will assist in integrating the aforementioned storyline. With ShadowMan's storyline, we mean to create, for the first time in an action-adventure, a non-intrusive and intrinsic narrative with plot points gradually revealed as the player progresses through the game, these building to a satisfying denouement and a grand guignol finale that combines both the traditional video game combat-based ending with something that is more akin to a Hollywood blockbuster in terms of its scale and setting. ShadowMan will possess multifaceted gameplay, with a variety of playing styles, from the shoot-'em-up Quake Doom style of the 5 serial killer layers, through the exploratory Myst-style puzzling of the Deadside regions, to a combination of shooter and Super Mario-esque platform shenanigans in the Asylum. Gameplay in the serial killer locations will involve the player in searching out the soul gates leading to the Asylum, the place where all serial killers go when they die, and the place that forms the ultimate objective in the game. In searching for the soul gate, for example, in the Florida summer camp, the player will encounter the serial killer Milton Pike in his live-side form, that is, his human personification, and will be stalked and attacked by him throughout the upper level of the summer camp. It will become increasingly obvious to the player that old Milt is not actually what he seems. Every time the player manages to squeeze off a shot from his Desert Eagle that actually hits Milt, the latter will undergo a momentary texture shift, whereby the player will momentarily see Milt as he truly is in his grotesque Deadside form. The summer camp soul gate is actually located underground, in a maze of passages beneath the camp. Once the player manages to find his way down there, having avoided Milton's incessant attacks with rocket launcher and machine gun, he will be beset by various booby traps comprising pressure pad-initiated mines, hidden corridor-based rocket launchers, and bungee and gator pits. As previously mentioned, the Asylum, situated in the dark heart of Deadside, is the game's ultimate objective. It is from here that ShadowMan's greatest nemesis, known as Legion, will launch his attack on the world and bring about the apocalypse. In the Asylum, basically a cathedral to killing, the gameplay will be intrinsic to the location's cavernous interior, a place of torture chambers and vast engines of destruction. Gameplay in here will find the player endeavouring to negotiate an assault course of epic proportions, with gigantic platforms to leap from, huge armatures rotating inside seemingly bottomless pits, vast cogwheels and malevolent machinery designed for purely one purpose, to kill, obstructed all the way by the Asylum's dark denizens. From the very outset, we have endeavoured to outthink Shigeru Miyamoto insofar as his sure-to-be groundbreaking Zelda 64 is concerned, with the certainty that he will be working towards taking the 3D action-adventure into hitherto unexplored areas, especially insofar as the utilisation of multiple player objects and overall game structure are concerned. ShadowMan's structure, if you refer to the overview map in your presentation packs, is like all great ideas, fundamentally simple, yet it will appear to the player to be fascinatingly complex with its multiple routes, multiple locations, and multifaceted locational gameplay. This enriching gaming experience can only be achieved by creating a game with graphical and gameplay diversity. In ShadowMan we believe we have both, and if and when we are successful in our ambitions for this game, we will most definitely have a prestigious mantelpiece product that will no doubt be critically acclaimed by the PC cognoscenti. In this way, Acclaim can finally break into the PC market in a big way, and with ShadowMan evangelize the Acclaim brand as being innovative and groundbreaking, as well as being commercial and highly successful.
deserve everything I get, every bad thing that comes my way. Can't live, can't die. Dead side's the perfect hood for me. A nowhere place.
What am I, the Dark Soul travel guide now? I suppose you could try all of the ancient sacred places down amongst the whalers and shiverers. I just hope that none of them souls have ended up in that filthy big black tower.
Open the gates, Jaunty.
Only you can do it, ShadowMan. You are the walker between the worlds. I can't go dead side, and Jaunty's next to useless in both worlds. You are the only one who can do anything about this.
Excellent.
There's a darkness coming.
ShadowMan. ShadowMan.
There's a darkness coming.
There's a place beyond your darkest dreams, a realm surpassing even your worst nightmares. It's called Deadside, and only the dead walk there. A world where terror can drive you to madness. A world that carries you beyond even your most dangerous visions. Only one man stands in the gateway between that world and our own. Only he holds the key to the door between Liveside and Deadside. His name, Michael Loire. He wears the ancient mask of shadows in his chest and has been transformed by it. It has given him power, made him into a taker of souls, a voodoo warrior, heir to the mysteries of Deadside. He fights alone in the darkness, plunging into the abyss to hunt, traveling into the heart of a nightmare to destroy the most evil souls either world has ever known. He is ShadowMan, and he is the one thing holding back the tide of evil which threatens to engulf the living world. The one man who has any hope of stopping the apocalypse. Two worlds, two identities, one man, ShadowMan. Come, take a walk on the dead side.